Welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us. Hope you're having a great one today. Did you hear that? Was it just me? Did you hear that little echo there at the start?
I did not.
Okay. It's the second day I've heard something like that.
Yesterday when I first started talking, I heard a bit of an echo.
Okay.
And it went away immediately. So
that's all I've got to say is free mozzarella sticks for everybody.
That was hilarious, by the way. I was watching it live when all that was going on. I mean, and they made it happen.
I know. Willed it into existence. If you don't know what we're talking about, I think it was yesterday, right? Was it yesterday?
Yep.
Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers got runners on, and Jim Deshaies, color analyst for the Chicago Cubs on the Marquee Sports Network, said he would buy mozzarella sticks for everyone at a particular bar in Iowa if the Brewers hit into a 6-4-3 double play, and bada bang, bada boom, couple pitches later, there it was, the golden 6-4-3, and mozzarella sticks were on, baby.
I believe it was bases loaded too. Like, it was a pretty key juncture of the game, and I think it was a one-run game. I could be wrong, but it was a pretty key juncture of the game. And hey, Jim Deshaies paid up. They showed pictures of the mozzarella sticks, hitting the bar. So good for him.
Yep. I feel like Brendan King and Tyler Reedy out here downtown South Bend, less than a mile away from where I'm sitting right now. I feel like it's kind of on for them. Like,
I know, right?
It's time to work some magic.
Better dip into that local radio money pockets and start buying breadsticks for people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So much of that, yes. It's We In, We Out day. That means we're taking questions from listeners in We In, We Out fashion. DJ, by the way, heard it wasn't just a ghost. DJ heard what I'm talking about, according to the YouTube channel.
He's just trying to make you feel better, that's all.
Yeah, there you go. So we've got, and actually it's a split show today. Jesse had a last-minute work emergency that pulled him away. He's planning on being in for rapid fire in the second hour of the show. Vince is going to man things with me and do a little We In, We Out questions in hour number one. Thanks for jumping in on short notice, first of all.
Hey, worked out well. I'm hanging out in my office doing some paperwork, and I get the frantic text from Jesse, can you cover the first hour? I said, lucky for you, I brought my laptop to school today. Let's roll. So you get live on location here. So here we go.
All right. Let me get things queued up to pop this sucker up on the screen, and we will get right to the We In, We Out questions because we have a good deal of them.
All right.
Showing up here today from B-Jammin' 41. We in, we out. The national media and fans are still sleeping on us. Last year's playoff run did little to change the national narrative with Notre Dame. In or out on that, Vince?
Well, I think maybe as a whole, I think there was national media that was coming around on Notre Dame at the end of last year because they didn't have a choice. They had to talk about Notre Dame because they were one of the only two teams left, and so you had to talk about Notre Dame. And I think some people came around. Your fine bombs of the world. I think he came around, and I think there was some other ones that came around. But it's a new season, and so it's time to start doubting Notre Dame again, and that's okay. Look, if I'm a national person and I'm not a Notre Dame fan, and I'm not as close to the program as I am, Notre Dame has to prove it year in and year out, and I'm okay with the national media sleeping on Notre Dame a little bit. I'm okay with it. They put them in the top 6. So, how much are you sleeping on a team that's in the top 6?
You're not.
But at the same time, they don't think that Notre Dame can win a national championship. Well, guess what? They haven't won a national championship since I've been 7 years old. So go out and win one, and then you can turn the tide a little bit. So I'm actually in on the national media still sleeping, and that's okay. I'm okay with it.
I just if you want to have a chip on your shoulder, you're always going to have a chip on your shoulder. And that's what it seems like for you. That's what it seems like for a lot of people. I don't get this narrative that Notre Dame is somehow being slept on. So I can't get down with this. I am totally out on this premise. They are ranked 5th in one poll and 6th in the other. And every time I turn on the TV, not just the Paul Feinbaums of the world, the TV, podcasts, wherever it happens to be, like whatever publication, people are picking Notre Dame to make the playoffs. So how slept on can you be, if that is the case? Like, really, I've never heard Notre Dame talked about as glowingly as they are right now. Like, are we going to Are we going to quibble about a couple rankings spots? I mean, all that stuff is going to play out, but by the middle of October, even, let alone by the end of the season. So I'm not going to be upset because Notre Dame went to a national championship game last year and they're ranked in the top 6 in both polls. I mean, there's reason to have at least, especially from a national perspective, there is reason to have some doubt because you lost your quarterback, who's probably, who's in line to make it with the Indianapolis Colts, at least on the practice roster this year. You lost an All-American safety. You lost 2 of your best defensive linemen, and you're going to be without what should be your best offensive lineman all season. Now, do you have a lot back? Of course you do. But I don't get the chip on your shoulder thing that, again, that so many people have when there is, like, I've heard more national respect for Notre Dame coming into a season than I've heard in a long time. So I am totally out on Notre Dame being slept on.
I like it. Hey, I'm just a Debbie Downer, so I'll that chip resides on my shoulder.
If you're looking for Notre Dame to be ranked number 1 or number 2 in the preseason polls, okay, so they're being slept on,
right? And that's what
again, like everyone. I won't say every. There's even one guy who is picking Notre Dame to be the number 1 seed in the playoff, and like it's virtually between number 1 and probably number 6 or 7 seeds. But I'm seeing Notre Dame almost universally being projected to make the playoff at the end of the season. So like, I don't see it. Again, if all you want is yes, Notre Dame is number 1. Personally, I would not want that if I were, Notre Dame or a Notre Dame fan. I would want to keep a little bit of, like, as a Notre Dame, would want to keep a chip on my shoulder going into a season. You got to at least reserve a little bit of a spot for a mozzarella stick or whatever it happens to be up there.
They have not proven that they're a number 1 team like that. I'm fine with that. And I think that there's a difference between being projected to be in the playoff and having the respect of a championship contender. I think those are like tiers, right? And I think that a lot of the people are cool with Notre Dame being in that second tier. Like, they're going to make the playoff, but they're probably going to get bounced, and that's fine. And then there's people that think that Notre Dame has a chance of winning a national championship, right? And so if you don't think Notre Dame can win a national championship, then I think they're being slept on. Does that make sense? So maybe it's a minor argument for me.
But you've also got a totally inexperienced quarterback that nobody knows anything about, like
that, and
even those of us on the beat who were over there at whatever practices we got to see, like what did we really learn about CJ Carr this fall that we didn't already know? Not a lot, right?
We learned more in the spring, in the last 2 springs, than we did in the fall.
Exactly.
And if you ask Miami fans, him naming CJ Carr as the winner of this little quarterback battle just made the game that much easier for Miami. So, awesome. Let's go.
Another one. Notre Dame has the best secondary in all of college football, and it's not close. We in or we out on that?
I'm out on the last bit. I think Notre Dame has the best secondary, but to say that it's not close is being a little bit of a homer, in my opinion.
So now we're dancing into Homerland with this one, because
yes, we are. Because look,
now we're giving too much respect to Notre Dame.
They do have the best secondary in the country, but there are other secondaries that are very good in the country. So it's not like there's Notre Dame and everybody else. Like, I'm not willing to go that far. They have the best, but it's not, the Grand Canyon of chasms in between.
Yeah, I do think they have the best secondary, but I would like to reserve a little bit to, because I've been, heaping the praise on these guys. I would like to reserve a little bit to actually see some of the other secondaries in action, kind of see what they look like. Everything that we've seen from Notre Dame's secondary says, there's going to be, a lot of wins for them. I wanted to go back real quick because there was a follow-up from Justin Webb, when I was talking about the quarterback. He says most teams have inexperienced quarterbacks. So again, I'm looking at the coaches poll. Okay. Texas, Arch Manning at least has a little more experience, and Texas has a similar roster to Notre Dame. Ohio State, yes, they have an inexperienced quarterback. They're the defending national champion, and they have a long track record of great recruiting success throughout the roster, as well as first-time guys at quarterback jumping in and being able to play. Penn State, one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the country. Georgia ahead of Notre Dame. Again, would I have Notre Dame ahead of Georgia? Yeah, based on last year. But, again, similar rosters. I don't think anyone here is sold on their quarterback. But look at Clemson. Clemson's right behind Notre Dame. They've got a very experienced quarterback. Oregon and Alabama, both behind Notre Dame. LSU at number 9, very experienced quarterback. Miami at number 10, experienced quarterback. Opinions may vary on Carson Beck. So, again, it's like it's not like Notre Dame is being knocked that hard because of the experienced quarterbacks. They're actually ahead of some other teams that people are expecting a lot of inexperienced quarterbacks as well. And again, are we going to fight over one or two ranking spots? Like, they're being projected to make the playoffs. So I just personally don't see the disrespect that a lot of people are seeing with Notre Dame. Vince is shaking his head. We don't have to continue, but I'm just.
No, hey, I get it.
I just want the season to start so that like whatever respect or disrespect we can actually see with our own eyes. I would like
Absolutely.
to see a game.
That I could not agree with more. Like, I want some real football that we can actually talk about. Like, I want to talk about what we're actually seeing, and it's not a projection.
Right.
Because let's be honest, we have now seen a total of a little less than 2 hours of one practice and 20 minutes of 5 other practices, which I realize is more than anybody else has seen, but we haven't seen much. Okay. So I want to see this team play an entire game with an actual starting offense, with an actual starting defense, and a rotation against somebody with a different color helmet. Like, that's
right.
I'm with you 1,000% on that one.
In or out, Lloyd Carr shows up to a Notre Dame game wearing Notre Dame gear, and Michigan fans implode. The cameraman will constantly show him throughout the game. I'm totally in.
How could you not be in on this? I mean, He already put a Notre Dame hat on when he committed to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not playing Michigan. He's going to have Notre Dame stuff on. Like, just like any other, like when I go to a Hillsdale game, I'm going to wear Hillsdale stuff, not Notre Dame stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because you're there to support your family, and he will do that. And I also agree the Michigan fans will implode because there will be memes everywhere of Lloyd Carr wearing Notre Dame gear, and it's going to be fantastic.
Correct. I mean, he's already shown up at spring games, and I mean, it's blood is thicker than water, right? Like, he might be getting some kind of pension, I don't know, from Michigan, but it's like,
doesn't matter.
He stopped being the head coach a long time ago. This is his grandson. This is his
Correct.
This is his blood. He's going to be there supporting him and wearing as much Notre Dame gear as he wants to wear. Maybe he'll have that new leprechaun on him. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well.
And if Marcus Freeman's kid went to Michigan and Marcus Freeman was wearing Michigan gear, it would be gross to look at, but I totally understand why he would do it. You know what I mean? And I would have no problem with it. It's just, you support your kids and your grandkids and et cetera. So yeah, it's let's be mature here, folks.
We're taking we in, we out questions from listeners, both in the YouTube chat and the Champions Lounge at IrishBreakdown.com. Joe Allen says, Jeremiah Love will continue his streak and score a touchdown in every game this season. Are we in or are we out?
Did he end up scoring a touchdown in every game last year, Sean?
He did not. I don't think he scored in the championship game, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. How about we say every regular season game, just to keep this simple? Yeah, I'm on board. I'm in. I think that he's going to be a very integral part of this offense. He's going to get probably more carries than he got last year, and he was still able to do it last year. So I'm in.
I'm double checking the game log here, and he actually didn't score against Georgia either.
Okay.
Make sure. Yeah. So the streak stopped at Georgia in the quarterfinal game, and then he also didn't score against Ohio State in the national championship game, but he scored in 13 consecutive games prior to that, from start of the season against Texas A&M through Indiana, the 98-yard touchdown run, obviously, against the Hoosiers. I'll go in on the regular season. Just like that's what you said, right?
Yep.
I was looking up data to make sure while you were giving your answer. But yeah, I'll go regular season. I'll say yeah, because what we were talking about the other day. I think that this is going to be, especially early on, while you're breaking in a new quarterback, it's going to be, again, I'm not just saying all they're going to do is hand it to Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, but it's going to be a running back focused offense. There is going to be a lot of running, and there's going to be a lot of featuring of Jeremiah Love. From Josh, in or out? In 2027, we'll see another quarterback battle between Hebert and Grubbs, similar to Minchie and Carr after Carr leaves early for the NFL.
I mean, I think that's the plan. I would be surprised if CJ Carr spends more than 2 years at Notre Dame as the starting quarterback. I would be surprised if he came back for year 3. It would be great because he'd be a 3-year starter and they'd be really, really good. But I anticipate if things go the way I think that they're going to go, that he will be a 2-year starter and that there will be a competition in 27. And those are the two main guys that will be involved in said competition. I mean, Blake Hebert will be a 3rd-year player by then, right?
I think so.
And that means Grubbs would be a 2nd-year player. So, I do think it'll be like that. And they'll probably throw whoever the freshman is as well into the mix. But it'll be primarily those two, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be in on that. The question is going to be, does anybody leave the portal before that, But I assume just based on everything that we found out about these guys through recruiting and stuff like that, they're going to stick it out. They knew what they were getting into when they came here in terms of who was ahead of them and all that kind of stuff. And like old Deuce decided not to come here because of that. So in part, anyway, there was obviously a lot of money involved in that too.
Oh, there was a lot of things going on there for sure.
In or out, Dallas will win another Super Bowl before either Jerry retires, croaks, or sells the team. I'm out. I've said all along, I'm just abusing myself year in and year out. It's not actually going to happen. Like, lead us to water and then make us stand there and dehydrate in the process. I'm out. I know it's not going to happen. I just watched episode 3 of the new Netflix Cowboys series last night. I watched the first 2 episodes the night before that. I'm going to admit I got a little choked up at the end last night. It ended with Jimmy Johnson and the "How about them Cowboys" when they beat the 49ers in the 92 NFC Championship game. Big full circle moment. My childhood officially ended with, Joe Montana and the catch. And then 11 years later, early adulthood, things were revived, so got a little sentimental, got a little misty watching that last night. It was fun.
Love it.
Pining for the days.
Yeah, right.
From J. Lynn G, in or out, we will be impressed with Carr's composure during week 1's game.
I'm out because I'm not going to be impressed because I know that he's going to be a composed quarterback. Like there's a mantra out there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a mantra out there that like Kenny was the controlled guy, and for some reason CJ was like this head case. And I really don't know where that came from, Sean. Like CJ is one of the most composed quarterbacks that I've seen in a really long time. So like I'm not going to be impressed because it's what I expect. So that's the way I'm going with that.
I mean, things arise out of everywhere, just like the whole "why not Kenny" and all that different stuff. And you've got, pom-poms at different outlets and guys actively cheering for a guy to be a quarterback
right
over the other guy and weeping, when the result comes out. It's like, I don't get all of that, but you got me sidetracked on that anyway. But we will be impressed with Carr's composure during week 1's game. I mean, it is still a real game, and we haven't seen it in a real game, and it is going to be a road environment. So I'll go in on that. I think you're right. I mean, the bar is set high for CJ Carr, but composure is one of the things we expect
Yes.
We also have to see it actually play out in a real game. And I do want to see what the environment is like and what kind of pressure Miami is able to bring on him and, what some of those things look like and how he potentially responds to some adversity when he gets it for the first time, because those are all questions that he's going to have to answer. So, I'm not going to hold him to such a high standard that I'm not going to be impressed with something like that, especially for a first-time starter in a game like this, his first career start on the road. So I'll go in. I'll say in.
All right.
And I think fans are, a lot of fans haven't seen him the way we've been able to see him in some practices and stuff like that. You've had a couple of blue gold games and that's it. Not everybody's even seen those games.
This is facts. They don't know what to expect.
Right.
It's just funny the things that get put out there. You know what I mean? And like last week, it was just all these random things being put out there about this quarterback race. And it's like, where are you getting this information? Why all of a sudden are people thinking
my
that?
Best friend's sister's girlfriend saw him down at 31 Flavors, Vince.
Right.
I mean,
and he was ahead. He couldn't pick which flavor he wanted.
I know.
It's like, make a decision, dude.
It's like, do you really want the macadamia, CJ? Come on. All right.
Those are not far off, probably.
Yeah, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back. We've got more We In, We Out Notre Dame football questions, some great questions we've had so far, and some more good ones to come as well with Vince D'Addario. I'm Sean Stiers. We continue Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com with Vince D'Addario. I'm Sean Stiers. It is We In, We Out Thursday, and we continue with questions submitted by some of our listeners / subscribers. Of course, don't forget you can watch the show live on YouTube anytime you want, whether it's the Irish Breakdown YouTube channel or the Sports Radio WSBT YouTube channel. Irish in the Bluegrass says, we in or we out? Comparing to A&M game last year, given the similarly hostile environment, primetime marquee matchup, and relative unknowns from the starting quarterback, last year it was the offensive line, Freeman will direct a conservative game plan that leans on the running game, field position, and defense in an effort to take pressure off C.J. Carr and reduce the chances of game-changing turnovers. In or out on that, Vince?
I'm in on it that will be the plan, but that will not be the result. Because I will bet you $1 bajillion that C.J. Carr starts changing plays at the line of scrimmage, push the ball down the field. If
you think so?
I 100% think so, yes.
You think they'll give him that free reign to do that?
I know that he's been changing plays in practice, so I don't know why they wouldn't let him do it in an actual game. So I think that will be what Marcus Freeman wants. I think let me rephrase. I think the combination of Mike Denbrock and C.J. Carr will change that narrative as the game goes on.
Yeah, I do think it'll be fairly conservative because that's what Marcus Freeman has shown us as a defensive coach. You know, that's kind of how he has played things. I don't expect C.J. Carr to come out and wing it 50 times.
No.
I think if Marcus Freeman has his way, at the most, C.J. Carr will have around 25 pass attempts in the game.
I think that's fair.
Right.
No, I think that's fair.
Again, they're going to let him throw the ball. He's going to have to throw the ball.
100%. And they're not going to be, 8 yards and less throws either. It's not
exactly.
It's not going to be the last drive against Penn State. He's going to push the ball down the field. So those 25 throws are going to be impactful throws. Now, will he check down? Of course he's going to check down. Is he going to throw screens and short pass? 100%. But he's also going to push the ball down the field, and he's going to look for those deep digs, and he's going to look for those fly patterns and, those different kinds of things. And so those 25 passes are going to be different if you're expecting like an Ian Book 25 passes. You know what I mean? It's right. Going to look different. So that's the part where I think it's a little bit different. But I do think Marcus Freeman wants to be conservative and control the line of scrimmage and run the football 100%.
Right. I think there's probably more confidence in a C.J. Carr type quarterback than what he had with Tyler Buchner going into his first season in 2022 on the road at Ohio State. Because obviously Buchner more athletic, more along the lines of a Riley Leonard. He definitely didn't want Buchner throwing it all over the field. And, Don Lloyd says 25 pass attempts is not conservative. Well, I mean, again,
depends on the style of offense you're running. And
that's the max.
Yeah.
Again, if you were to find yourself trailing, you're going to have to throw more, if it comes to that. But with the defense that Notre Dame has, I don't see that happening. Worst case, I see it being a tight game, somewhat similar to Texas A&M. But I think that Notre Dame, from a conditioning standpoint and from a physical standpoint, this is going to be the thing. I'll go ahead and throw up Scott L. Esquire's question that he put up in the YouTube chat. In or out, Notre Dame will be able to run the ball whenever it wants in Miami, and then also in and out, they'll be able to run the ball whenever they want against Texas A&M. I will say this. It might be a little bit more difficult early in the game against Miami, but as that game goes on, I don't care about heat and hydration and all those different things. Notre Dame is going to be the more physical of the two teams. If you found nothing else out about Notre Dame during the playoff run last year, Notre Dame and, the Texas A&M game for that matter, Notre Dame can stand toe-to-toe with anybody and outslug anybody they want. And that's what I expect, so will they be able to run whenever they want? There might be some issues early on, just depending on, again, you're breaking in a young quarterback and How is Miami playing them? They've got a new defensive coordinator, so there are going to be some new looks that Notre Dame is going to have to adjust to. They're going to try to throw the kitchen sink defensively at CJ Carr. They're going to try to confuse him as much as possible, and it's going to be, how does CJ Carr react to that? And, is he able to make the proper checks and all those different things? So I will say, as the games wear on, especially in the second half, yes, Notre Dame will be able to do that. Well, they will be able to impose their will physically on both of those teams.
I think overall, I think it was a great explanation. I think they are going to load the box to start off with, and it's going to be tough. Like, you could be the best offensive line in the country and have the best running back, and if there's 9 guys in the box, you're going to struggle to run the football. I mean, there's math involved, right? I mean, it's not like it's Notre Dame versus a high school team. They do have a good front seven. So, you are going to have to be able to pick and choose to a degree, and you're going to have to be able to throw the football to loosen some things up. So I agree with you completely. I think eventually they will be able to run the ball when they want to, because they are going to put defenses in a bind.
Yeah. MJH Irish 84 says Riley Leonard threw up a free cookie at least twice a game. Every game he played. C-Sage is not going to throw up those free cookies. I would agree with that as well.
Right.
It's going to look a little different.
I love the free cookies comment. I like that.
Yeah, I've never seen that one before. Irish English, a Kansas man, or at least living in Kansas. I don't know if he's originally from Kansas. He says the winner of Iowa State, Kansas State, which is this Saturday in Dublin, is in the driver's seat for the Big 12. Are we in or are we out? I will say this.
Yep, I want you to take it first. This is your area, man.
I will just say this. I don't know. I mean, it's like early driver's seat, because you've got 2 of the top contenders going head to head. So I don't know if it's as much the winner is in the driver's seat as much as the loser, I won't say eliminated after 1 week, but that's going to be a big hole for the loser, because you've got, again, 2 of the favorites head to head right away. I think the loser is just going to be in a much bigger hole. Again, like I still, people are forgetting about Arizona State. We'll see how it plays out. They're going to be a big factor in this whole thing as well. So that's kind of, so I guess I'm slightly out. Again, it is definitely a driver's seat because they're 2 of the top teams in the conference, but I just think it's a bigger deficit for the loser of the game, than necessarily a benefit for the winner of the game, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me. The Big 12 is just such a freaking conundrum, man, every year. And I do think these two teams are somewhat in the driver's seat. And we're going to talk about that more tonight at 8:00, by the way, Sean Stiers.
What's that show called, Vince?
Spread Option. We're going to talk about the spreads and some locks and all that kind of fun stuff. So 8:00 tonight, you want to take a look at that one over on CFB Nation. But
all right,
I agree with your analysis. I'm on board.
Okay. And then Irish English goes to the other Kansas team, the one that really matters. Jalen Daniels, the Kansas Jayhawk quarterback, will have over 50 rushing yards in week 0. Are we in or we out on that? They play Fresno State the same day, this Saturday. I'm kind of excited to see some of this, football season actually kicks off this Saturday with some of these games. I'm just going to go in because it's like on average for Jalen Daniels, it's about every other game. It feels like that he's over, and they're going to be breaking in the new Booth Stadium there in Lawrence, and Fresno State coming in and all that different kind of stuff. I do wonder if Kansas wants to limit Daniels running at all because of the injuries that he's had the last couple of years. But I think week 1, like the bubble wrap is off, and I'll go over for Daniels.
This is the same guy who was the quarterback a few years ago that just keeps getting injured.
This is his 6th year.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my question. It's like,
he's been around the block.
Doctor yet? Like, how long has he been there?
Yes. Yep. He's had COVID years. He's had injury years. He's been around it a little bit.
Listen, I'm a fan. If he's not injured, he's a dynamic player. There's no doubt about it. He just has to remain injury free. That's all.
Right. That's right. I said if he stays healthy all year, then I think that Kansas will find itself in contention in November to be in the Big 12 championship game if he's healthy all year. Big bounce back here. I keep accidentally clicking on people's names in the in the champions thing and
some ideas of who they are.
Yeah,
that's all.
Right. We in and we out. First play from scrimmage for Notre Dame will be a play action bomb from Carr to Faison for a touchdown.
I would love for that to be the case. It's probably going to be a handoff. I mean, let's be honest. But, man, I would love it. I don't think it'll be to Faison, though. Honestly, I'm not even sure Faison's the starter. I think Will Pauling is probably – I think you're going to have Will Pauling. I think you're going to get Jaden Greathouse. And I think Malachi Fields are going to be on the field to start off. Yeah. And if there's a bomb to be had, it'll probably be like a back shoulder or something to Malachi Fields. I could see that happening, but I would love for it to be play action. Like, this is what I would hope for, at least the play call, not necessarily the personnel, but they're going to hand it off. It's going to be a zone, read or maybe an RPO for luck.
So too. But, like you got Jeremiah Love back there, like establish the run. I think that's going to be a mantra. You're going to want to come out and show, we're here to run the ball tonight. And then CJ Carr can hit him with some passes at some opportune moments. It would be very electric. And you talk about silencing a home crowd if that were to happen, but I'll have to be out on it, unfortunately.
Wouldn't it be great? Oh my gosh. You get me all excited that that's even a possibility.
We in or we out on this new Leprechaun logo, Vince?
This was kind of a shocking email to get today when we got that email.
I was not prepared for that.
I was not prepared for that. And look, Fighting Irish Media does an amazing job with everything that they do. This felt like fan art to me. I was not a fan. I know they're going to do like all the sports and they just happen to put football out first for obvious reasons. It's not really a fan. I was not. I don't know. It didn't grab me. It felt a little too cartoonish. I didn't like it.
I don't dislike it. It's different, and I think that's the thing.
Maybe that's the problem.
It breaks tradition, and what's Notre Dame about? Tradition, and so new things always take a little bit of time to get used to. I'm going to be curious to see what some of these other sport logos look like because apparently they're putting them out for multiple sports. Like, is the basketball player, like, is he going to, the basketball leprechaun going to be dribbling the ball or, like, what's that?
Different for women and men?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It reminds me, just like the style, like a little bit of the Louisville Cardinal, like the Louisville Cardinal as opposed to a traditional looking Cardinal, like Arizona Cardinals, that kind of thing. It reminds me a little bit of that. I definitely like the look of it better than the Louisville Cardinal. So like, don't get me twisted on that one. I'm slightly in on him. I don't hate him, but it's different. Like the more I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. It's like he's actually holding a football. And I mean, let's be honest, Vince, that's like, I'll be curious to see. Well, we'll never actually find out the number. They will obviously know. This is a ton more new merchandise that they get to sell now, right? You got Marcus Freeman on the poster or whatever that, thing that they had, and they're already selling the new stuff, shirts and sweatshirts and everything else. So it's a unique look. It's a new look. I don't mind it.
So to kind of jump and piggyback off of your Louisville Cardinal, didn't Louisville put the Cardinal dunking in the middle of their court, like the cartoon?
I think so. Yeah.
Would you be on board with like the leprechaun, like throwing one down as the mid-court logo in Purcell Pavilion?
They should put it up on the backboard. Like
okay.
You're looking at free throws, you're shooting free throws, and you got the leprechaun dunking up there.
Just a one-handed
plexiglass. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down. Look, I will applaud them for thinking outside the box because there's no need for this, but they're just like, what can we do that's a little bit different, maybe a little bit hip, a little whatever. So I do applaud them for that.
Shake it up.
Do it. I was just surprised by it, and I am a traditionalist, I guess.
Came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did.
Take one more time out this hour, and then we've got more we in, we out questions. We might have to go rapid fire we in, we out questions, because I know we've got a bunch stacked up. If we don't get to them tonight, I promise we will get to them tomorrow. Right now, here's this break, and then we're right back. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. We continue Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Along with Vince D'Addario, I'm Sean Stiers. Jesse's going to be along in the second hour of the show for Rapid Fire, I think, as we stand right now anyway. He's going to be, yeah, that's right. Fingers crossed.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean, I hope he does show up because I'm cashing in on the bet tonight.
Oh, okay.
Good. So I've got dinner plans now at 6:15. So
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
He sent me his Venmo. So I'm excited.
Where are you going?
Culver's. That was the deal. That was the
okay. That's right. I forgot
the official bet. He said he would buy my family Culver's. I think he might have lapsed, realizing
how many people are in the family.
Yes.
This is going to be the most expensive Culver's that he's ever had.
That's correct.
So we had a question in the YouTube chat about the new game day show, because we've got a game, of course, coming up a week from Sunday, August 31st, when Notre Dame heads to Miami. And the show is going to look a little bit different this year. Before every Notre Dame football game, home and away, here on Sports Radio WSBT, it is the all-new game day show. It's a 3.5-hour extravaganza leading into Notre Dame football. Of course, first show will be on Sunday. The rest will be on Saturdays. But you've got Tim Grau, Jim Irizarry, Eric Hansen, and Tyler Horka, as well as interviews with special guests every week that have made game day, of course, so popular. I know Tim Grau, I believe Golick Jr. is one of the guests that he's got lined up for the first show. So game day coverage will begin at 3 o'clock Eastern time before the Miami and Texas A&M games. And, of course, it'll be on every Saturday throughout the rest of the season as well. So there you go. Starting a week from Sunday, that will be your new game day show.
There it is. And how's that going to be available to everyone?
And I've got to ask about the YouTube thing. It will obviously be on 960 AM, 106.1 FM here in this area, the WSBT radio app and all the podcast platforms and all that stuff. I need to ask about, because it sounded like some of the guys will be connecting, with the same way we do on video, but I've got to find out exactly how that's going to work.
Awesome.
So
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not the one who makes all those calls. The information I just gave is the information that I have at this point. So I'll need to track the rest of that down. Yes. All right, we've got time for a few more we in, we out questions here. This one is from Team OD. In or out, we will see the offense look similar to a Drew Pine-led offense to begin the season to help CJ. Fans will freak out. Then as the season progresses, it'll open up more. What do you think about that perspective?
I agree that the season, it will open up more and more. That kind of a deal. I definitely agree with that. I do not think it will be a Drew Pine-led offense at any point in the tenure of CJ Carr. I just don't see that being the case. I just don't.
No. There is I'm not even going to say it. There is a lot more confidence in CJ Carr. There is a lot more ability both between the ears and in the right arm of CJ Carr than what you had with Drew Pine, who is now, did he win the job? He went to the MAC. Is he going to be a starting quarterback this year? Do we know? So this is a young guy, yes, but it's like, will they be somewhat conservative, I think, early on? Yes, especially in a night road game to open up the season. I think that there will be at least a somewhat conservative nature there, but nowhere near to the degree of what Drew Pine had, because for one, CJ Carr is going to be able to find more than just the tight end and complete passes to more than just the tight end. So
tight end will be a big part of it. Eli Raritan is,
yes.
But yes,
but he won't be the only part of it.
That is correct.
From Utah Irish 77, Coach Freeman has earned our trust when it comes to player personnel decisions. Are we in or we out on that?
I'm in on it for the most part. I mean, I think that he so far this year has made the right decisions as far as I can tell. And, there's a few more decisions up for grabs, but to be honest with you, the people that are involved in those competitions, I feel good about. So I will say this, I'm not sure he makes the CJ Carr decision 2 years ago. So in that regard, I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, have there been that many other big decisions that he's had to make? I mean, Hartman and Riley Leonard were no-brainers. Like I've said before, we talked about it earlier in the week. I think that going with CJ Carr is one of the bigger decisions that he's had to make, if not the biggest decision, that he's had to make since being at Notre Dame. And they just went to the national championship game last year. Most of the decisions are the vast majority are made by the position coaches right?
Yeah,
Like
with the sign off and seal of approval of the head
right.
coach. Yeah,
The head coach still has to sign off, but so I mean I've got to be in on this. Like I'm just like searching my brain right now to find any reason to doubt it, and I don't think that there is a reason to doubt it.
Yeah, yeah. We're doing rapid fire, so I don't want to get too far into it, but I agree.
In or out, Michigan sucks, Miami sucks, SEC is overrated.
Let's roll, baby. I'm in.
Feels like catnip right now.
No, seriously. SEC is still really good. I hate to break it. I mean, are they overrated by a lot of people? Yes. Are they overinflated at times? Yes. But there's some really good teams in the SEC too. So more so than in the Big Ten.
Irish Gordian Knot says there's a whole group of fans who think CJ is short because Goolsby and Clark have been saying that he's barely 6 feet tall when he's almost 6'3". I can definitely I have no idea where that comes from. There's
it's not barely 6 foot tall. He is not Ian Book. He is not Marcus Burton. No, he is a big human being, and
yes,
that's nuts. I don't even know where that comes from. So.
Another in or out from Utah Irish 77. IB Nation is the best show / podcast out there. I mean,
duh.
Is there any doubt?
Duh.
There can be no debate.
Look at this.
Indy Forever 72. We in or we out? Wide receivers are finally a major factor in the offense this year.
I'm in because the ball's going to be in the air a lot more often than it was last year. So I'm in.
Totally in. We're going to see playmakers out there. And it's not just going to be one. You're going to see a lot of guys making plays. You're going to see guys going up, getting the ball. You're going to see a quarterback threading the needle at times. It's just going to look a lot different this year. And receivers are, yes, actively going to be involved. And as we've talked about this week, it's going to be a big benefit for not just the quarterbacks, but for these receivers after going up against Notre Dame secondary all training camp long. In or out, Notre Dame goes undefeated in the regular season.
I'm out because when we made our predictions last Saturday, I said Notre Dame was going to go 11-1, but I had no idea what that one was going to be. I'm sticking with that right now. I don't want to be Mr. Pollyanna. Oh, they're going to win every game. But if we went through each game individually, I would predict Notre Dame to win those games, just like I would have done for Northern Illinois last year. So I'm saying 11-1. I'm not going to go that they're undefeated.
I am in agreement with that. I don't think they're going to go undefeated as well. Sorry, Salty. I didn't realize that was a question. I saw the photo and I just thought it was some fanboy stuff. Shocker.
There's also another one that had
Jaden Greathouse.
Jaden Greathouse photo as well.
So Salty's question, his deep experience working with the Great One over the last 2 years, individually and in team practices, will allow Mr. Carr to comfortably throw to him even when he is closely covered as the season's outset, rather than requiring almost the entire season to reach his level of comfort, as was the case with Mr. Leonard. So basically we're saying that these two guys have good chemistry, CJ Carr and Jaden Greathouse, and Carr is going to be comfortable getting him the ball. Is that kind of how you're reading this?
Yes. I'm out because I think he's very comfortable throwing to whoever.
A few more flashy words.
The ball needs to go. Do I think they have a good relationship? Sure. But from what I've seen, he also has a very good relationship with Malachi Fields. And from what I've heard, he also has a good relationship with numerous other guys as well. So I don't think he's going to be blindly throwing to guys. But I think he does have confidence to throw to Jaden Greathouse when he is, quote unquote, covered. I think he does have that confidence. And so hopefully he is rewarded.
I think that he's the kind of quarterback who is going to find the open guy.
Yep.
And, the guy, it's not going to be, again, if we're going back to the Drew Pine stuff, it's not going to be locked in on one guy. And it's not going to be initial read or nothing else. It's he sees the field differently. He makes his progressions differently, really, than I think probably go back to Jack Cohn. The last quarterback who sees the field the same. Hartman wasn't bad, but I think I've said before that that was maybe the biggest disappointment with me and Hartman is it didn't feel like at times that he saw the field the way a guy with his amount of experience should have been able to see the field coming over for Wake Forest with all that that he had in his pocket. But again, he was in a much different kind of offense at Wake Forest.
Agreed.
Okay, so there are a lot of we in, we out questions still on the table. I'm going to save them for tomorrow when Eric Hansen is here. I think some of them will be good for him, and that'll give us kind of some extra stuff when Mr. Hansen comes in on tomorrow's show. Vince, appreciate you pinch hitting in hour 1 tonight.
No problem. I enjoy it. I always enjoy it. So
Me too.
We're good, man.
Have a good meal. Hope your kids all enjoy their Culvers. It sounds like it's going to be like, are you cheese curds? Are you onion rings? Are you French fries? Which direction will you go?
Culver's fries are actually very good. I am an onion ring guy, though. I will say that. But I can tell you right now, I'm looking at my 2 daughters right here waiting for me to get off the show. They are very excited for Culver's.
I do like a good onion ring. That's right. All right. See you, Vince. I will talk to you later. Jesse will be in next for Rapid Fire in hour number 2. It's hour 2 of Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat, and that means rapid fire time. I thought I lost Jesse there for a minute, but there he is. How are you today, sir?
I'm glad to be here. That's definitely for sure.
I'm sure everyone's glad to see the lid that you're wearing there as well. We were talking about quarterbacks, of course, in the first hour of the show. Scott L. Esquire threw this up in the YouTube chat. I'm curious what you think about it. Sometimes the lack of discussion about Riley or talking about his inaccuracy makes him feel undervalued. No way we get to the Natty without his grit and leadership. And I mean, I totally agree with that. I think that there's a comparison point, though, and, you know, the thing that was most lacking from the Riley Leonard offense last year was a much more consistent passing offense. I think we can all agree with that. But at the same time, I was still one of the biggest supporters of Riley Leonard last year because of the way he played, because of his toughness. He was always willing to lay it on the line, and he could obviously use his legs and you know, pick up, you know, big important first downs or yards or whatever with his legs. And, you know, like, we were concerned about his health going into the season, but he remained healthy all year long, or at least he kept himself on the field all year long. And so, like, it's not a knock on Riley Leonard at all if we're comparing what we expect the passing game from C.J. Carr to look like compared to what it looked like with Riley Leonard, in my mind anyway.
Yeah, I think the number one thing you have to talk about with Riley Leonard is just his overall toughness. I've never seen a player willing to do anything for his team to win, put his body on the line, make tough runs, was the first guy to take responsibility when things didn't go right. I think the biggest comparison that you can make with him is someone like Tim Tebow. Just a lot of heart, a lot of leadership, a lot of willing to do whatever it takes for the team to win. Yes, he wasn't the most proficient passer, but he's an NFL quarterback, and I think he's going to get an opportunity to be a starter in the NFL at some point. He just needs kind of a season or two to develop, and that was the thing, is he was just never going to be a fully completed package, you know, due to injuries and other things that kind of happened throughout his career. So Notre Dame was just kind of another stepping stone for him. But without him, there's really no chance I think they make the national championship last year, unless you add someone ridiculous, you know, like one of the top quarterbacks in the game, obviously. But if we're talking within Notre Dame's quarterback room, there was no other combination that I think would take them to the national championship. And, you know, he really highlighted their best asset last year, and that was their ability to run the ball.
Yep. Stymie in the YouTube chat says Riley Leonard over Anthony Richardson. I'm totally in on that. I said a couple, like, after that first preseason game, and I realize it's a preseason game, but, like, look at where Anthony Richardson is trending. I mean, Daniel Jones is going to be the freaking starting quarterback, and I think that's as much about Steichen trying to, you know, save his job and win some, show that they get, like, he and Ballard need to win games this year, and I think that they feel like Daniel Jones gives them a better chance to win games than Anthony Richardson. But I think that ultimately, again, not this year, but in the near future, I think that Riley Leonard can end up being the quarterback that the Colts thought Anthony Richardson was going to be when they took him in the first round a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's better than what Anthony Richardson has proved in the first couple of years of his NFL tenure. And I feel like he's a younger, more athletic, more raw Daniel Jones. I think he has a higher ceiling than Daniel Jones. The only thing Daniel Jones has is a ton of game experience, obviously, at this point. But Riley Leonard has the tools, and I think the determination and kind of the same things that made him successful at Notre Dame, the toughness, the eagerness to learn, the competitiveness, that's going to help him out and make him even better in the NFL.
All right, I just want it noted, we just talked about a team other than a team in Texas, so write that down. Make sure that you note that. So ESPN released its list of the top 100 players in college football this week. They have Jeremiah Love at number 5. No surprise there, I don't think. Leonard Moore's at number 13. Christian Gray, number 41. And Anthony Knapp at number 76. What do you think about those rankings, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm in favor of these rankings. I think the only thing that I'd be in disagreement with is you have Smith at 1, Anthony Hill, the Texas linebacker, at 2, Caleb Downs, the Alabama to Ohio State safety transfer last year. And then Cade Klubnik, number 4. I don't really understand the infatuation with Cade Klubnik. Yeah, he's played a good amount of years in college football, but I think Jeremiah Love is more dynamic. He's more explosive, more valuable at his position than what Cade Klubnik is. Like, Cade Klubnik isn't even the best quarterback in college football. Jeremiah Love is arguably the best running back in the entire game. So, if we're getting nitpicky, I think Love should be higher, but the rest of the list makes sense. I think Leonard Moore, pretty lofty as a sophomore. Hopefully he doesn't, have a letdown year or sophomore slump. Christian Gray at 41. I think that might surprise a lot of fans just because I think his downfalls were highlighted a lot last season when, a lot of it was kind of not out of his control, but, he got put in some tough matchups. And then Anthony Knapp at 76. I mean, we saw what he did as a true freshman last year. So
I was honestly surprised to see Knapp at 76, though, because it's like Emil Wagner is the one who's been getting all the preseason love in terms of All-American teams and watch lists and stuff like that. So I would have thought if an offensive lineman was going to make this list, considering Jagasaw is injured, I would have thought it would have been Emil Wagner. And to see Anthony Knapp all the way up at number 76, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but I would have thought Emil Wagner would be on this list. And I think that it's great that Christian Gray shows up. Again, like we were talking in the first hour of the show about lack of respect and, is Notre Dame being slept on nationally? I mean, you've got 4 guys in the top 100 here. And just like you said, you could argue, I do think that Jeremiah Love is better, as an overall player, 2 different positions, is better than Cade Klubnik. But, again, we're talking about one spot in the rankings. He's a top 5 player. He's going to show it. He's going to be dynamic. And yeah, like Salty says, Billy Schrauth, I think that there's an argument for him. But, again, Schrauth didn't play an entire season last year, and he's a guard. So I think that he's a guy that's going to get more love as this season goes on. And I see that Vince is still watching the show. Knapp is the highest rated offensive lineman is crazy. I would agree with that because I think that most people who watch this team day in and day out would probably put both Wagner and Schrauth just as true offensive linemen ahead of Anthony Knapp. But Anthony Knapp getting some respect. And I think it's deserved that Christian Gray gets some respect as well. Because even though he had a couple of plays that, he would like to have back, I think that he deserves the attention that he's getting. Brian NY in the YouTube chat says Carr is top 10. I think he's got potential top 10 talent, but he's got to go out and show it. I don't think that there are any first-time starters who are in this top 100. So I think that next year at this time, we could be talking about Carr as a top 10 guy. But, like everybody knows that there are a lot of expectations on CJ Carr. Now he's got to go out and show it.
Yeah, I kind of want to play devil's advocate a little bit. I know that, maybe right now Anthony Knapp isn't, but I think this list you could take into consideration, future potential ceiling kind of stuff. So, Anthony Knapp is the only guy to start as a true freshman. He played just about every single game. And I see his game style kind of being very similar to Zach Martin by the time he gets to the NFL. So I see it, and I understand that, him being the only, I guess, Notre Dame lineman to be on this list is a little crazy, but I guess I see it. I see the potential a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, and I think that where did it go? There was a comment that was just up here. I agree with what Brian is saying in the YouTube chat. National media doesn't really know that Knapp was an injury replacement. All they know is he was a starter as a true freshman. He believes so, and a starter at left tackle as well. So again, I think that that's why he's going to get, a little bit more attention because he was the left tackle as opposed to the right tackle, even though the right tackle was, I think, regarded as the better of the two last year and is getting a lot of praise of his own. But I think it's great that both tackles now are getting some of this preseason attention. So Charles Jagasaw, Jabron Payne, and Boubacar Traore have been named to the College Football comeback player of the year preseason watch list. Which of those three do you give the best chance to win it?
This is tough because, obviously Jagasaw is going to have a delayed start to a season. I think Jabron Payne is going to be fighting to get touches from obviously Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Aeneas Williams. To me, the guy that has the most kind of boom potential and can be out there all the time and be that kind of star defensive end is Boubacar Traore. So in terms of kind of playing every game, the impact that they can have, I want to go with Boubacar Traore.
That's where I've got to go as well. And, like going into the season right now, Jabron Payne is the fourth running back in the room. Like, I think that he's going to get some kind of opportunities, whether it's special teams or otherwise, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get, recognized for a national honor like this. Jagasaw is a little bit of an X factor just because he's probably going to miss half the season. If he comes back, though, midway through the season, finds himself in the starting lineup, and they get to, like another postseason, but, these awards are going to be announced in early December, so the postseason won't even factor into that. So I'm like you. I think like splash factor and the kind of quick twitch guy that Boubacar Traore is, and, the fact that he's going to have a chance for a lot of sacks and doing those kind of things, highlight type plays, I've got to go with Traore as the guy who I think has the best chance of these three. I'll be honest. I didn't like, when did they start giving out the comeback player of the year award?
I feel like in college now that there's just about an award, a watch list for like everything. And, obviously the more you can rack up, the better, but it seems like every day there's a new like watch list or preseason list. And like, what are the qualifications to make these things?
I know. We had, I had Aaron Taylor on the show yesterday, and he's the guy who founded the Joe Moore Award. And he talked about, like the actual big, massive Joe Moore Award is like a traveling trophy. Like you get to hold on to it for a year, kind of like the Stanley Cup. And then they go and they take it, and they give it to the next team. But all of the guys on the offensive line, like if you're an offensive lineman on a Joe Moore Award winning team, you get your own little trophy, like replica type trophy, but they're most likely going to helmets, is what he said.
Ooh, I like that more.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool little spin on that. Fill in the blank. NBC announced its crews for Notre Dame home games this season, broadcast TV crews. Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge are going to get the 3 primetime games, Texas A&M, USC, and Navy. Dan Hicks and Jason Garrett get Purdue, Boise State, NC State, and Syracuse. And you feel blank about that.
I feel elated about that at the end of the day because I really enjoy Noah Eagle. And I don't mind Todd Blackledge. I think he's pretty good most of the time. For the second half, you have Dan Hicks and Jason Garrett. I'd like to, minimize that crew as much as possible. Curious to see what Dan Hicks does, right? But I'm more excited about Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. And so them getting 3 of those games makes me, someone who watches just about every game on TV. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, I think Joe Allen speaks for a lot of people. Can we please get rid of Garrett? Like, I don't know. There's just not like there. What do you think of Garrett overall? One, I agree with what you're saying about Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. I think that is a really good, and I said it a couple of years ago when NBC announced that Noah Eagle was going to be its main guy for the primetime games on NBC. Like, he's your age, but you wouldn't know it. He sounds like his old man. His dad is Ian Eagle. Obviously, he is just really good. Stymie says Greg McElroy over Garrett. I think that you would have a hard time, though, getting Greg McElroy to leave ESPN with all he gets to do for them. Like, he gets to do a game every week for ESPN, plus playoff games, to do 6 games, or not even that, 4 games basically for Notre Dame home games on NBC. I think that's the challenge because Garrett is doing Notre Dame games, kind of like Drew Brees. Drew Brees was complaining about it. Remember when we played that cut from the Dan Patrick show? Drew Brees is doing the pregame show on NBC, Football Night in America, and he's doing Notre Dame home games. That's what Jason Garrett is doing. now. It's tough.
Yeah, I think for Jason Garrett, there's a lot of football knowledge, and I appreciate that. I think it's always good to kind of get in the mind of someone who knows the game in and out as much as Jason Garrett does, but obviously he lacks kind of the overall broadcasting ability. So it
Right.
stinks because you want him there for his knowledge, but the way that he transcribes that or transmits that to his audience is not the most appealing at times.
This Don says can't get Golick Jr. since he's going to be doing TNT, the Big 12. He is doing this year the TNT Big 12 package. I don't know if it's definitely one game every week, but might not get him now. I think that he could be someone to keep an eye on for the future, though, because he is doing more games now, and he's going to be doing games on TV. Maybe he could be someone down the road because he does have a name, and they've obviously resisted going the Notre Dame path, but you also haven't had, with the exception of Brady Quinn, who's got a good thing going at Fox, there's not a lot of former Notre Dame guys who are actively working in those TV booths doing games. So maybe this could work in your favor down the road. Maybe within a couple of years, Golick Jr. finds his way over from TNT into the NBC booth. I think that would be very exciting.
It would be exciting. And as we know, this booth has been rotating a lot, over the past 5 to 10 years. So I don't think anything reasonable is off the table.
Let's take a time out. When we return, we will wrap up rapid fire. We've got more questions. We've got Chicago Bears. We've got did you see the ESPN app launched today? A lot of details with that, some interesting features they've got in there. We'll talk about all that and more when we return with rapid fire. Winding down rapid fire in Budweiser's Weekday Sportsbeat with IrishBreakdown.com. Hope you're having a great day today, along with Jesse Stiers. I'm Sean Stiers. We've got time for a few more questions in here. Fill in the blank. Former Division II quarterback Tyson Bagent getting a 2-year, $10 million contract extension from the Chicago Bears is blank.
It's going to sound corny, but it's great for the game. I think anytime, someone like Tyson Bagent, a former Division II player, backup quarterback, a guy who makes the most of his opportunity, can make a career basically as a backup and a guy, what I would say is a spotty starter, kind of step in if an injury happens or, maybe the starter is out for a week or two. He can come in, obviously not as effective, but enough to run the offense and still be, pretty impactful. So for a kid to go from Division II to making $10 million a year, I can't say that I'm not jealous. I have a lot of, I had another wedding bill that hit today, and I could use.
If only I had kept working, I could have made a roster and made 10 mil.
Then a lot of my issues would be solved.
Yeah, no.
And I saw the clip of him crying too, which makes it, even more, I think, significant, meaningful, just understanding what he can do with that for the rest of his family.
I was gonna play the clip, but I was like, man, I might just get choked up here on the air if I did, because it was like, I didn't realize the whole backstory, because so much of Tyson Bagent's story is the dad, the arm wrestler, and he's just jacked and he's got the guns and, the whole thing. And there's kind of that whole sideshow. But like Bagent was saying in that press conference, his dad didn't have freaking running water in his house growing up in West Virginia until he was in high school. And like, he was like, I've still got a lot of family members who don't have very much money, So like, this is like, you kind of hear the word life-changing money thrown around with a lot of these professional athletes. But again, you hear the path that he came from, Division II, made his way, got in camp with the Chicago Bears, made the best of it. And he's played like he's actually played better football than a couple of first-round draft picks the Bears have had the last couple of years, and the opportunities when he's had to get on the field. So very well earned, and it's really cool to see a story like this, because again, I didn't realize the whole like I knew the Division II part of it, and like the gun show dad with the arm wrestling and stuff like that, but I didn't realize, like the whole family history and growing up in West Virginia and all that stuff. So very cool. Good on Tyson Bagent, and good on the Chicago Bears for rewarding him as well. ESPN launched its new direct-to-consumer streaming service today. Anything that's available on ESPN is going to be available on the app, including old 30 for 30s. It's basically $30 a month. Here are some of the features that this app is going to have that I just saw today. There's a catch-up live feature that allows you, like if you tune into a game, say like you tune into a college football game and it's in the middle of the second quarter, you'll be able to watch highlights of key plays that you've missed up to that point. When you join a game in progress, there's going to be a multi-view that allows you to watch up to 4 games at once. And if you have the app in conjunction with Apple TV, you can actually pick the 4 games that go in your multi-view. There is a Verts within the app. It's a personalized, basically like a TikTok video kind of thing, that's going to be personalized to your viewing habits. So if you're a Notre Dame fan and you start watching Notre Dame videos, it's going to feed you Notre Dame videos in the app. There's also a Sports Center for you that's going to be AI generated for your personal preferences, and it's going to use AI voices of Hannah Storm and other Sports Center anchors. So how interesting is all of this to you, Jesse? Because you are, I don't even know if you're a cord cutter. You're basically a cord never since you've lived on your own, I think. Haven't you been?
Yeah. We there are no cords in this house. Everything is streaming. But looking at the list, it all sounds pretty good. But the only thing that I'd really be interested in is the multi-view, like the catch up to live. Yeah, that's nice. It puts together a little highlight montage for you. Okay, cool. The Verts app, I don't have, or the Verts thing, I don't have TikTok. I'll never have TikTok, so that's a non-factor. The Sports Center for you, yeah, I mean, that's okay. But like, to be honest with you, in the time I do have, I'm spent watching on, the live game, the Cubs, the Cowboys, Notre Dame, whatever it might be. So yeah, it just seems a little bit too rich for me, honestly. I like being able to watch maybe 4 games at once. So yeah, maybe, once that is incorporated through the NFL potentially, but until then, just too much for me.
It does the ESPN and just bought like NFL Network and the NFL, like some of the NFL media, and they're going to get Red Zone now. That none of that's going to go into effect until next year at the earliest. So does the addition of that make it any more enticing once they get that content for the app as well?
Yes, that makes it more like NFL adds a whole different layer to this thing. And if you could start doing it with college football too, where you can watch, a lot of games at once, because that's the thing. Like when you watch football now, you want to watch a lot of games at once. And that means getting out 3-4 TVs in the living room. I don't know about many of the other people listening or in the chat here on the live show. The fiance hates when I bring down 3 TVs and there's cords plugged in everywhere. And
see, this is a benefit then, right?
That's what I mean. So like but to me, I only care about that for football, singularly football. I don't care about it. I don't watch a lot of 30 for 30s. I don't watch a lot of the old ESPN stuff. Again, when I'm watching TV, it's usually for a live sporting event. So if I can put up live sporting events in multi-view on an NFL Sunday or a college Saturday, that's when I'm most interested.
Yeah, and that's like the multi-view on Sunday is the biggest thing, but ESPN isn't going to have access to those, so that won't even be part of it. And again, like if you subscribe to cable right now and you've got like all the ESPN channels, like the only stuff you're not going to get, like you won't get a catch up live and you won't get videos force fed to you, like with the teams that you watch and stuff like that. But in terms of the actual programming, if you've got cable right now and you get ESPN, like you don't need the app. But obviously they've come up. I think that these are at least interesting bells and whistles that's relatively unique. They're trying to make it unique to the viewing experience because everything is so social media driven, obviously, right now. But I agree, $30 a month, I think that's the biggest obstacle they've got. That price point still seems a bit high to me. Like I feel like 20 is probably the max, especially for introductory. I would think that they would have a lower price point going into this to try to get more people to subscribe and then jack it up later.
Agreed.
I'm surprised that as a sports guy, like you're not more into this though, because again, like, Mr. No Cable and all that different kind of stuff.
Not as much free time just to watch sports all the time.
Fill in
like
the
$360 a year just for
that's true.
ESPN.
It is a lot. It is a lot. Roger Dodger, our old USC fan, says not subscribing. Okay. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Oregon State and Washington State will play each other twice this season.
Unacceptable. That is like regular season. That is unacceptable. And it just shows you the mismanagement of the dissolvement of the Pac-12. It's just embarrassing. You should not have to resort to playing the same team twice in college football within the same. Like there are so many teams in college football, right? Like I'd rather a team play like a D1 AA than rather play each other. So it's like you can't. There's just endless possibilities. It's laziness. It's an embarrassment, and it's just I don't know. I don't know what else I can say.
I don't know if it's laziness as much as maybe they're like. I think that they're probably having a hard time actually getting teams to find him. And what's most curious, and obviously this is all because of the downfall of the Pac-12. Like Oregon State is still playing Cal this year. They're playing Texas Tech. They're playing Oregon. They're playing they're playing Wake Forest as well. What's most curious about this to me is not only are they playing each other twice this year, they're playing each other twice in the month of November. They're playing each other
twice in the same month. That's even more brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just very sad. Like the state of what happened to the Pac-12. And these are the two stepchildren who are left out of everything when it came to conference realignment and everything else, and they're still out there looking for partners. They can't find a new friend to come up and be happy with them. But yeah, I think it's really sad that they have to resort to, like, you just don't see football teams, college football teams, playing each other twice in the same season, let alone the same month.
Agreed. Did you guys talk about the new Leprechaun today? Was that brought up?
We did. If you want to touch on that, we'll have to save it for tomorrow because we've only got about 40 seconds here. We've got.
I was going to be short and quick.
Go for it.
I like the original. I like this one too. I liked the video that they put with it, kind of, describing where it came from, some of the most impactful, significant Notre Dame plays and players over the last kind of 30, 40 years. So, I know there's going to be a lot of get off my lawn people. I know Vince probably hated it.
His name is Vince. His name is Vince.
Yeah, yes. Just have a little bit of fun,
I know.
The stadium has evolved. They put big boards in there. Everything's evolving. Have fun with it.
All right. We had fun tonight. Short, rapid fire. Jesse, I will talk to you mañana. Thanks, everyone, for all the questions and all the good stuff in the chat and in the Champions Lounge as well. We'll do it again tomorrow. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.